Hi, everyone. Kindly encourage everybody else to join in so that we don't get late for class. So just post on the WhatsApp so that people can join in. You see, we have almost 20 students or over 20 students missing, actually over 20 students missing.
Yes. We will begin at 10 to in the next 3 minutes. I think the 20 of us who are not here, we might not wait for them.
Hello, Dr. Caro.
Yes.
Yeah, good evening. As we wait to begin in 3 minutes, I think, Dr. Caro, you need to deal with, there seems to be another link, which sometimes folks do go to and find themselves alone in that link. And I think it is in the portal. So we seem to be going through two different links. Sometimes we take advantage of this one that you sent in the on WhatsApp.
Actually, this is the official link. I think the one, I don't know which one is on the whatever on the portals, and there could be different. Maybe someone, we have a course designer who designs the course. Some of those things you where you click continue, move, and all that. That's usually a course designer doing that. So probably they had a default link that we don't use. So kindly I request all of us to maintain this link. But Monday is the only day that I know Dr. Munyao has given you a separate link, but the rest of the days we maintain this link. I'll check with all the courses and replace the link with this one.
Yeah, kindly do that because sometimes folks go to the other. Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
Good. I think we are on course now. As we have, the 5 minutes is elapsed. I think we can start the process of taking over in terms of the class. We are now at 34. At least you've crossed the half mark, which means that we can proceed. Good. Now let's. Where's my contact person again? Josephine. Yeah. I was looking for you.
Okay. Good evening, class.
Good evening to you.
Okay, today I would want to share a word from Isaiah 40, verse 31. So it says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So from these scriptures, we can relate our lives to it as we continue to face very many challenges in life. We have colleagues who have been sick. We have different challenges at workplaces, our families. Then we also have difficulties, especially in joining our classes on time. We have quizzes, we have projects, we have assignments, and they have taken toll of our lives. But the Bible says that we continue soldiering on and hoping in the Lord to renew our strength until the end of this course. So that is what I have to share with you. Shall we pray? Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we come unto you this evening. We present ourselves and our course before you. We pray, Father, that whatever is being delivered to us, Lord, may we be able to take in and be able to understand whatever we are being taught. We thank you for our lecturer. We pray that God, you continue giving him strength and good health. We also pray for all the students who are unwell, those who are having difficulties, financial problems, Lord. We put them before you, Father, that we continue working as a cohort until we graduate. We ask this believing and trusting in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen.
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 Thank you. Thank you very much, Josephine. We can call you Sister Josephine because I know you are one of us. So we are grateful for encouraging us and reminding us that, you know, in the world language, aluta continua, that is what it is. So we need to soldier on. I know a few of us are having issues here and there. We are trying to register. We're looking for that final coin to come and pay. I've taken note of a few of us who are sick. I think we acknowledge that. And for those of us who are here, it's a privilege. And we are delighted to have you back. And please take every opportunity to thank God for the little gains and chances you get in life, so that you try to better yourself and even present yourself in areas where there's opportunity, so that you also are counted as part of that whom will be considered in one way or the other. Thank you very much. I want to call the meeting to order as before. As we start this lesson today, you know, I've also been trying to put many things together, and so that I also try to move along with you as well. We are trying to also save on the little time we get. Yeah, we do most of the things that we are supposed to do. Sorry. Yeah, so the chances that we do get, we want to pray that you also have the opportunity to make use of it eventually. So this is what it is. Yeah, so when I give you some tasks here and there, this early, try to be there. We don't want to. I want to avoid the last minute pressures. You know what happens. Yeah, so that by the time we are doing the last month, we should be done with everything that is the assessment like. And as such, my expectations are that as you continue doing this, do as much as you can. I'll be when you see I post things here and there, do them. The ones I know some of you, like last week, you missed on the quiz. It's okay. Yeah, it was the first one. So we are learning. We are learning. Yeah, I'll be giving you a few others. I'll be throwing in a question or two in the course of the meeting. Yeah, so that at the end of it all, we balance. You balance, but at least try not to miss all of them, because it might reach a point where I'll try to now say, well, let's see what you have done, what you've not done. We can do a summary. Yeah, so that is fine. So the next thing we want to do is for the lesson today, we are developing more into the content of describing data with a little bit focus on the numbers. We want to now go to the numbers today. Last week we did graphics. I presented to you various ways, and I tried as much as possible to avoid you drawing things by hand. We went to Excel a little bit in the hope that you will also find time to sharpen your IT skills, Excel skills. Yeah. Obadiah, wherever you are. Yes. I know some of you are in different places. I hope you're in a place where statistics can sink in. Nice. I may have posted some questions on the e-learning, but never mind for now. We'll give instructions as to when that will happen. But let's just work. We see how far we can do today. I'm gonna share my screen in a moment. Trying to get to that screen yet. Together with, yeah.
Did we lose?
Yeah. So we're back. Sorry. Just a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my Wi-Fi just went off for a moment. Yeah, I'm trying to. I think that this.
You cannot host. You are not the host. It is Francis.
Yeah. Who is the host now?
Francis Oncham.
Francis, kindly do something. Kindly return the hosting. Yeah, that's what happens. Francis, are you there?
Yes, Daktari, I've supported you.
Please check. Thank you very much. Very much. Well, thank you. Yes, you can now see my screen.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, apologies for that one. So I wanted to just indicate to us that we did a few things last week with regard to data description, but from the graphics perspective. And there's only one small bit that is left at the tail end. What I will do is I think I have posted some data set in the e-learning, which which is based on all the things that have been done in this particular presentation. If you remember what we did last week, it was about presentations of graphs. The bar graphs with this one, we did pie charts, which you can easily depict. What is left for you is to simply describe what you see for each of these graphical representations. I'm sure you have the English to put meat onto these numbers. And in particular, when you talk about the counties across the 8 provinces, then you can speak to the numbers that you see around here. We talked about the Pareto chart. There are all these other types of bar charts that are featured in Excel. So I don't want to go over this. You can always relook and do that. There's a stacked bar charts in whichever way. So these are functionalities that you can always demonstrate or show in your Excel. So the only thing I wanted to show at the tail end is ways in which you can summarize huge chunk of data that at times you collect. You are you are in charge of the education, overseeing the education operations in your sub-county or in the county, for example. And there's this huge set of data set at your disposal, which comprise perhaps the level of funding for every school, and there are like 1,000 schools. So at times making sense of such huge data sets can be challenging, and that's why it's good to have the mechanical skills to manually summarize and present it. But this kind of soft skills that you're also demonstrating here is very good for you to become a complete statistician. Definitely for your research as well, this is a tool that you must know. Some of us might rely on Excel a lot of the time, but you can also rely on alternative packages that are available. So allow me to just go to the last section here, which is about the frequency distribution tables, which to a large extent will be one of the ways in which you can organize and summarize your huge data set, which at times you can collect from time to time. If you have a very small data set, 20 individuals, 30 students in a class, that can be easy. You can easily talk about it. But how about situations where you have a huge data set? How do you go about processing that kind of data set? So I didn't want to increase this one because I'll be going back and forth into Excel at the same time, this one. So, but basically, as you have the data set you've collected in the field, it makes sense to have these classes or groupings of the same and see the extent to which the data set can cluster around certain data points. And so one way is to have these tables that will summarize the data in a way in which you can have a very quick visual expression and impression about the data. It can also facilitate to understand even the clustering of the same, in the sense that you can be able to know in a class of 100 students, well, where is the majority of the marks lying? Are we having a majority on the 50% mark or above that? So these groupings at times gives you just a very quick overview of the nature of the data that you do have. The way we do it, of course, you can look at it manually, or you can even demonstrate this in Excel, which I think we can do very quickly, is to really consider what is referred to as an interval, or rather, yes, boundary between each class. So what we intend to do is generate that kind of table so that you can now classify your data set into diverse groups. You can have a group, you can have interval of 10 marks, interval of 20 marks, and the rest. So this is called the interval width, or the class interval, which basically is determined by considering the smallest, the largest, and the smallest number, that gap, that difference between the highest and the smallest number. and then you divide by the number of classes that you want to have. So this is now upon you as a researcher to determine the number of classes you want to create. Typically, we don't want so many classes, because if you have so many desired classes, then it complicates the process. It might also imply that you may not have a very quick overview of what it is, unless you have a very huge data set, which has almost equal distribution across all groups. There you can do this a relatively bigger number of classes. But on average, anything between 5 to 7 to 8 would be sufficient. So why we want to do this today is so that we can now have a way in which you can be facilitated to talk about the quantitative description. So we should be shifting from the narratives or qualitative representation to the numerics. So averages, so all these things, the intervals, the deviations, the standard deviations, all that. We shall be talking about them in the course of either today or lastly, or next week. Now, this is data on, this is count data. This is the number of households which practice farming as per the different counties. This is data, this is actual data from Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, KNBS, looking at the number of households which practice different activities. I've just picked out the data on farming, the average number of individuals who participate in this. So remember, this is the national, surveys, which is done by the KNBS, and periodically they release these data sets. So as a student, as an industry practitioner, I encourage you to always be visiting the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics website, get to know statistics about your county, get statistics about your profession, if it's education and the rest, around, so that you understand the landscape of the environment within which you operate in. So I've just singled out this data set. This is about the numbers. These are number of households in each county. And you know that there are 47 counties, as we know. Okay. So we make sense out of this data set. So if I tell you from all these, what can you pick? It is very difficult for you to mention anything about these numbers that you see here. All you can perhaps see is you can count the number of counties. You can confirm it for the 7. You can also look at the original provinces, you know, what we initially had in the past. You can see there are 8 of them. But now, and as we start looking at the number of households, then things get a bit interesting, because you might not even pick out a characteristic about this. So that is why you need techniques to summarize the data. And one of them is this frequency distribution. So how do you go about it? So we shall do that in a moment. But ideally, I expect us to have some very basic knowledge about what we intend to do. For frequency distribution tables, in a nutshell, yeah, this is what we expect, so that we can have some groupings of the variables, or rather the variable of interest, and create certain classes, class 1, 2, and 3, and 4, etc. And then we have the frequencies that we can record. So in this case, this could be the structure of the table that we are talking about here. So our first assignment for the day is to summarize that very huge data set, so that you can have a structured way of talking about it. So what that means is that, what it means is that the table can now guide and tell me, it seems we have a majority in class 3, or we have the least in the first class, around there. So that can give you a piece of information that you can even communicate in a descriptive or a narrative form. Lastly, the summarized format, as we can see here, can now lead us to further even deducing extra information that we can get from here. Then from here, we can even consider deviations. You know, we can look at anything to do with, you know, by deviations, I'm talking about variance. You can also talk about standard deviation, among other things. But of course, the simplest one is a simple average. Yeah. So we'll talk about the average when the data is grouped, as you can see right in here. Now, so because the data set I have is a little bit voluminous, it might be useful for us to consider an Excel-based approach to doing this. Just out of curiosity, any one of us who's having their computers somewhere ready, who has their laptops on, that I know whether we can move in together?
Yes.
Yeah, even let me check whether I can share this data set. I hope it's shared already. Just give me a second as I confirm that.
Mwalimu, could we use regions instead of provinces?
Yes.
Some of us are already being tortured mentally.
Noted. Please call it anything. Let's call it something. I understand you. You can call it region 1 to region 8. I'm actually sharing the data. Hopefully, or unless I had shared it last time, I'm just dropping them on the e-learning very quickly.
Which week, please?
Can we check the data, the one for last week? Under graphics, there could be some data set there in Excel. If it is not, then I've just posted it under week 3 on central tendency. And it's right there. Just give you a second for those that must download it. Please do that and let me know whether you've picked it. Once you've accessed the data, let me know.
Dr. I'm seeing the data in week 2 under data.
Yes. Oh yeah, it should be the same data set. It's written graphics or something like that. Yeah, it's either in week 2 or this week. There is the same data set. Please access it.
Yes, Daktari. Are we just opening the...
Is it in Excel? Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
are you done, Bob?
okay.
What I've got, I'm sorry for having short-circuited someone. I was asking because the material I've gotten, I think, is in what is it? It's JPEG or something.
PDF.
It's
There are
PDF.
2 documents. There's a PDF and there's another Excel sheet. It's an Excel one. Look for the Excel file.
Okay, I think
Now
I
let's
may be
go,
lost,
Juliet.
Daktari. Okay, I think I may be
Yes.
lost because okay, I am in week 2 where you've told us to check, and you've said it is written describing data graphics. Is that what you're looking at?
No, when you go to week 2 on under measurement, it's written data.
Oh, data.
Yeah. Or if you're in week 3,
okay,
I've seen it's also the same data. I noticed that I've loaded it twice.
Oh, so it's the one. Okay, sawa. The
Same thing.
distribution, is it the one of distribution of households practicing farming by county?
There we go. There you go.
Okay, sawa. Thank you.
Daktari, it's on read only. So are we going to be able to edit it, or how are we going to go about it?
Really?
Yeah. Or is it
No, there is a need for enable editing.
Please enable editing in your Excel. Yeah.
Why?
Sinaona madam anasema kuna class sana ambaye alisoma sijui anataka computer apply kama ilikuwa student.
Haya. Oh, who is that having another meeting? Osanya. Okay. That is a data set I hope you can see. We are all having it there. It even has the other things for the pie chart, some other data set is there, the Pareto charts. This is the one that I'm talking about. Can we proceed?
Excuse me, Doctor, do we copy paste on our own?
A minute, please, Doctor.
Okay.
Do we copy paste or we just work with this one?
We will work with this. What we can do, once you have it this way, as long as you're able to edit, I will guide you on what we need to do with it. I'll just guide you. Just hold for a moment, ensure that you're able to manipulate it. In other words, it's not a read-only document.
But Dr. Okay, can help me out. I can see on your page it is blank on the. You don't have a graph like ours, or I'm on a different page.
No, there are others with graphs, different sheets there. You can see. Is that what you're saying? Go to the one written histogram.
But I'm there, but it has a graph, the initial one that I was asking you.
Oh, you can drop it out. Yeah, that one you can delete. You can delete it. Yeah, you can just delete. Oh, Osan.
Shika tu. Mimi sitaki kujua. Mimi yangu ni kusikia.
Now, who is talking like that, surely? Aya. Now let's do this. Let's just copy, or let's just copy the data. You can just copy the numbers alone from 12,000 to the last one. 32,000. I'm highlighting and I'm copying it. Let's copy it and let's paste that in a new sheet. Click on this plus sign here on a new sheet there. And I want to paste it right there. Okay. So let's just, so that we don't tamper with what is on this other side. For now, let's just work with that.
Excuse me, Daktari.
Yes, please.
Sorry for interrupting, but I think I'm lost. I don't know what is happening.
Tell me what is happening.
Okay, I initially told you on my screen I have that one with a graph. So you are telling me to delete. I'm sorry, I don't know how to go about it. I'm stuck there.
Just leave the graph, copy the numbers only. Yeah, just copy the numbers as you can see from my screen. Highlight from 12,000 till the end, and then you put it on a new sheet.
I leave out 12,000 because I see you've highlighted from Kwale.
Everything. No, from
12,000.
Only the numbers. This column alone, you can see. Yeah, you can see where I'm doing. What I'm doing. Just the numbers alone, not these other details of the regions. let's work with the numbers only.
Okay, so.
Are we there?
Yes.
All right, we've copied it, pasted it in the new sheet. I've just copied and pasted there so that I can work with this data only. So we want to create this is the frequency distribution table for the data set given. Now let's understand the fact that in terms of frequency distribution, we are interested largely with creating the classes.
Yeah.
Creating the classes. So the first thing you need to note is that because I needed to understand how large my interval will be, I need to just get this difference between the largest and the smallest number, and then we divide by the number of classes that we desire. So what I want us to do is to arrange that data set in any order, ascending or descending. So let's arrange the data set. So what you do, highlight the entire data set up to the end, up to that one. We've highlighted everything. So the data is highlighted. So go to the Excel functionalities up there, the drop-down menus, click on data. Or for those of us who know the shortcut for sorting, then click on data, and then you should be able to see the features for sorting in ascending or descending order. So right in here, there's the sort button. So once you click on sort, then it will identify, it will tell you what are you sorting. I'm sorting the elements in column A, and that is the column A. So I leave it there. Then you are sorting in the order of the smallest to the largest, and that is what you will need to do. So just click on OK from here. The numbers are arranged in order, so you don't have to really look for the smallest or the largest. So you can see for sure that we have a well-arranged set of values from the smallest to the largest. So what it means is, once with the arrangement done, I would like us now to create the class interval so that you know how many particular classes will you create at the end of it all. So this will be dependent on you as a person. You can choose 6, you can choose 5, you can choose 7. Yeah, so for our case, let's see whether we can just do just a minute, just confirming that we just want to work with 7 classes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do 7 classes, but feel free to do 6. Feel free to do anything. So let's now get the gap between the smallest and the largest. In other words, let's implement this formula right here. The class width or the class interval equal to the largest minus the smallest, divided by the number of classes you desire. Yes, Juliet is saying something.
Yes, Dr. Sorry, our lights went out, so I was my internet got lost. So I am just reconnecting now. I have missed everything that you have done. So please, I request you if you could rewind.
Where are you as Josephine or Juliet?
Okay, I left when the lights went off and the internet got out when you told us to highlight. So I stopped there. So it's right now that I'm reconnecting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. Someone is asking whether this session is being recorded. I hope. Yeah, we might need to contact Daktari. I'm not very sure that whether it should be recorded, right?
Yeah, on
Let's
YouTube.
hope so. Yeah, it's on YouTube. Thank you very much. Oh, good. Let's proceed. Yeah, so for the sake of Juliet, what we've done is from the data set you have here, I've highlighted the observations themselves, the numbers, beginning from 12,000 all the way to the last one, 32,000. So I've copied that data set. I've copied it, and we paste it here. Okay. Yeah, just for the sake of Juliet, we paste the data set. You can even paste wherever, doesn't matter. So once you paste the data, because you want to look at the class interval, you must look at the range. The range is the difference between the smallest and the biggest value. So you can only do that because the data is not arranged in order. You need to have an ordered arrangement of these numbers. So that's why with this data set arranged, you went to data, click on data, and then you click on sort. When you sort the data set, then it will tell you where are you, where is the data set located? It's on the third column, column C. In our case, it's column C, and the data set is highlighted, and it's going to arrange it from the smallest to the largest, and then you click OK. So that's what we did before you went off. So please do that. We have done the arrangement, and it's ready now. Let's now go back to the ordered or the arranged data set, which is this one, the smallest being 12,000 and something, the highest being 335,000. So we want to create 7 classes for beginners. So what you do is you simply implement this formula. That is, the largest subtract the smallest, everything you divide by the number of classes you want. So let's do that. So as I told you last week, for Excel, ensure that you execute the formulas, the functionalities for the Excel functionals, which is the equal sign. So you start with equal sign, open brackets, because you want, first of all, to do the difference. So after you've opened the bracket, I pick the last value here, I come here, I pick that value right there. So I've picked the last value in cell 47 in my case. I've just tapped it once. So once you click it once, see what has happened here. It is still highlighting. So is equals to open brackets. I have tapped the largest value. I say minus the smallest value, which is 12,000 and something there. I close the brackets. So what it means is that that formula will give me the difference between the highest and the smallest value. Then I can say, with this, I want to get 7 classes. You divide by the 7 that you want. If you want to do 6, then you divide by 6. For now, let's choose 7. So the formula will be, it's ready. So after that, you just hit enter. And I want someone to tell me what number they are reading there.
Mine is what? Mine is 46,110.29. But I've not I think I went a little bit early. I did not put the brackets, and so I just did A47 minus A1, and then I did enter. And then after getting the answer, I divided by 7. So I don't know if it's the right thing or
yeah. I think it should give you the same thing. Okay. Yeah, it should give you the same thing. So when you hit enter, it should give 46,000. Yeah, that's the thing. So those brackets sometimes are very important because the brackets will indicate that it will first of all work with what is in the brackets. Then from there you can now then start dividing with the other numbers. That's quite okay. So you'll have a class interval of about 46,000. Good. So let's proceed. So now we want to now create intervals. Yeah. So we've taken note of the fact that we have the smallest number being 12,000 and the next one being 18,000. So what it means is that as you do your classes, you can now choose a starting point or a starting class, so that your first class should at least include some of the earlier numbers right here. So you can either go with 15,000, you can go with 20,000, which is what I think I've gone with. When I say I want to start with 20,000, which is this one, it means the first class will include from the first observation to 20,000, which means that the first class will have these two numbers in my thinking. So you can begin there. But please note that there's no correct answer in these things.
Doctor, question.
Yes, please.
Okay, we can just choose any number provided that it's within the or without caring if it's in that list. Because I'm seeing you've taken 20,000 and yet it's not on the list.
Yeah, it need not to be on the list. All you want is the first number or the first class to have anything from 0 up to 20,000. Yeah, so that should be the first class. So that it means that for the first class, I'm going to include any observation that goes up to 20,000. In this case, I know definitely the first two observations will go in that class. I hope you're getting me. So you don't have to put what you observe there. So let me just put 20,000 to begin with. Then now, because you have now intervals of about 46,000 something, then now you can round. In fact, you can even round off this. So when you have 46,110, you don't have to put the exact number. It just gives you an average position. So in fact, if you put 50,000, there's no problem. If someone puts 45,000, there's no problem, but ensure that at the end of it all the numbers will be captured in the classes. So this is 46. Yes. But if I decide to go with this interval, you notice that I'll be having so many fractions and decimal points. So what you do, you can just round off this number to the nearest easily workable number. And that's why I've gone with 50,000, because it's almost close to that. So from there now, I can create classes of 50,000 from here. So what it means is that I'll be increasing from 50,000. From 20,000, you can add 50,000 and 50,000 going forward. So I will create now classes going down. Okay, so this one now, for the next class, it will be anything between 20,000 and 70,000, because that will be another interval of 50,000. So what you do is you create another formula and say this equals to the previous number. I now add the 50,000 that you have picked, and you click OK. So it means that you can either add manually, but why add manually? You can when you have the formulas there. So once you have done that, you know that you have your first two classes set up. The first one is from 0 to 20,000. The next one is from 20,000 to 70,000. The next class should go up to 120,000, from 120 to 170, like that. So once you get there, you can just come to the 70,000 here, come to the bottom right, that plus sign. Once you see the plus sign, down press your mouse, left mouse, and then drag it downwards. Down press, and then you keep taking it down so that, oh, sorry, so that should give you the first, oh, sorry, I should not be that way, but it should be from the, sorry, I think my computer is hanging a little bit. Let me just remove all this. So what you do, you can just, you can highlight both of them. Sorry, this should be different. Sorry. Yeah, so the next one, let's have is equals to 70,000 again. You add the next 50, and then you do like that. So either you can do like that, or you can have another way of just incorporating it manually, because you've already identified the flow. Okay. Osanya?
Kindly, Lecture, repeat how we got 70,000.
Oh, okay. All right. What we did here, this is 20,000. right? This is what we have here, 20,000. So we're going to be adding 50,000. Remember, the 50,000 is what we got from rounding off the 46, because the 46 just gives you a rough range for the interval. So what I've done here is simply say, you put the formula of equal sign, the 20,000 that is here, plus the 50,000. Are we there? The questioner, the person who asked that question, is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, now, I'll also show you something else. Once you do that, you can hit enter, it will give you the formula. But from your Excel functions, if you press FN4, I want you to lock that 4 there so that it becomes $D $4. What it means is that you are adding a constant number on this 20,000. It will still give you the same thing. The only thing is that you are locking this number so that it becomes the common value you'll be keeping adding. So it will still give you 70,000. Okay. Then after this, now, if you drag it down, you can now see it's continuously adding the 50,000 across. Okay. So this is one way of doing it. The other way is to do the long method that I started in here by just keeping adding 50,000 manually. But this will be the efficient way of doing it. You start with the first 20,000. In the second case, you're adding 50,000, but I'm locking the 50,000 with this $sign. It means that every time you'll be adding the 50,000 across board. And then you can now see that you have now created the other classes. So the other thing.
Can you repeat how you're locking the 50,000?
How are you locking the 50,000?
Oh, you see in your keyboard?
Yes.
There's a FN function, the function key. Are you there?
The function key.
There's an FN somewhere there, together.
Yes.
Together with the F4. Yes, those two. F4. Are you seeing F4 among the top layer, the first row of your keys?
First layer.
There should be something F4 somewhere on the keyboard.
I can see F4, but cannot see FN.
Yeah. Are you pressing the F function or?
No. Not yet. Let me.
It depends. I know some other computers may require that you just tap it F4. Others you write Control F4. As long as others will say Shift F4. As long as you're tapping that F4 with some other key, it will be able to pick the $sign. Alternatively, you can include it manually. $D $4. It will still lock it. So maybe that is a skill you might need to learn as we go along.
I want to take you back a little.
Oh, okay. Somebody needs to take me back. Okay. All right. Let me hear. Proceed.
Yes, and also with the functions you're referring to, some of us have laptops whose functions you're struggling to see whether this is an FN, FX, whatever it is, very tiny. So that maybe we would go the manual in a number of ways. But on getting our 46, you jumped to 50. What informed that? What informed that?
Yeah, actually, this 46 is the actual. But because you are creating classes, there's no standard value. But what you will be doing is you're picking a value within the neighborhood of 46. So like I told you, there's no right class size. You know, we might even, as a matter of fact, you may even find that the 50,000 you've chosen may not create 7 classes. It might even create more classes than we desired.
It is a guesswork around that time, whatever.
Yeah, but it's an approximation. Let me not use the word guesswork. In statistics, we don't guess, we approximate. So you can have a number around what has been prescribed. So the 50,000 is also safer because you also avoid all these decimal points that we are trying to avoid. Hopefully you've taken that.
Yes, I've taken that. Just continue.
Yes, good. Yeah. So what we've done is we've created classes. Let me take you back for those who want to see it again. So I've picked 20,000 to begin with. You know, someone else can even begin with 15,000. Someone can also begin with 25,000, depending on the fact that you want at least some values or some numbers to fall in that bracket. I've picked 20,000 to begin with. And I want to say now I want to add the 50,000 to the 20,000. So I have activated the functional form, the function equal to 20,000. I add the 50, and I lock the 50,000 with my function F4 function. If you're struggling to get the F function, the locking, you can just do it manually. You have a $sign in your computer. Just type manually $D $4. It will lock it. So once you have the 70,000, then you can now drag this formula beyond that. So what you now do is that I have many classes here. You can even count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So those are 12. But the thing is, I must go back to look at the highest value here. It is 335,000. 335, where does it fall? So in my case, it seems that it will fall around here. So I can cancel these other ones because it will just be extra work for no reason. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this gives me 8 classes. It gives me 8 classes, which is fine. So as I told you, when you are doing frequency distribution, there's no right answer or wrong answer, because when you do even the averages, it will still be the same answer. Whether you add many classes or few classes, it will still give you the same answer. If I asked you to reduce this to 7 classes, let me ask, what can I do? See, what I've done is I have done my magic and I have forced and I've seen I can get 8 classes, and we can do that. But should you want to reduce this to more classes, you can either manipulate this number here, or you can manipulate the beginning value. Work with whichever. Okay, because this is an illustration, because we are illustrating, let's work with these numbers. So this becomes class.
Mwalimu, I thought the beginning number was zeros, and because we talked of a class size of 50, so it should be 0 to 50. Am I getting it correctly?
No. It is where you've picked from. It is a starting point, so that you can pick an arbitrary number. Actually,
I was asking because I'm seeing we have a number 12.
Correct.
We have a number 12, which is our minimum.
Yes.
And we've already created the class size.
Yes.
And in that case, then for the class size is standard. It's a uniform. It's a uniform all through, isn't it? It is the 50.
I agree with you. I agree with you entirely.
Why?
You see,
you start with the 0 to 50, then to 100.
Good.
Yeah.
It is fine. It is quite in order. That is Evans. Was contributing? It was Boss, right?
That's Boss.
course, yeah, good. Yeah, it's okay. What we do is we will still go that route as well. There is really no right answer as to whether, you see, the whole point is I wanted a few numbers to fall in the first group. So I can go this way, yes, that is one way, and there's nothing wrong with it. Although the first class will be a little bit short. The other way is to, let's see what you have also suggested, because it's also right. I cannot object that as well. We can still do 50,000, right? According to what you've suggested. Is that okay, boss?
Yes, I was just trying to think through it in that order.
Yeah. So what it means is that so there you can now choose an arbitrary starting value. You can do 50,000. Okay.
Excuse me, Malimu. I'm just
Yes.
come in.
Yeah.
Now
yes.
we are doing frequency distribution. Eh?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So can the number be the highest number be up and the lowest one be down, or we can start from any direction? What is the class interval that we are having here? All
right. Well, ideally, it makes sense if we arrange it in this order, this ascending order. Okay. And then we have chosen an interval of 50,000.
All right, that is what I'm trying to look for.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Othello. But ideally, what we got from the computation was 46,000. But we just rounded off to 50,000. It still works, eh? So we just picked an approximate number of 50,000, and you can still get these intervals. But I got another perspective from one of us, and say because of the problem of the first class, which will have very few numbers, we can as well make them to be equal across board. And my comment was that it is okay. It is actually even okay to have it like that. So there's no problem having to start with 0 to 50,000 and then 50,000 to 100 and the rest. Okay. But there's even no problem even bringing this down to 45,000, because already the recommended one was 46,000. So you can either choose an interval of 50,000 or 45,000. It doesn't matter. All you want is you want the desired number of classes. And you also want a way in which you can summarize the data, because it's already so long. Whether you go this way or the other way, it will still be the same. Okay, let's show both ways. Let's show both ways. This way gave me 8 classes, but the reason is because of the first class, which seems not to be balanced with the others. Let's try this other one for 50,000. Okay, I want to create classes of 50,000, but the first one starting from 0 to 50,000. So in the first thing, I now create the second class. My first class is the one from 0 to 50,000. The next one should be 50,000 to 100,000. So this equals 2. I now say equal to the 50,000, which is here, then plus the 50,000 right there, and I can lock it by F function, $J, $J, $3, which is a J3. I hit enter. Okay, and then from there I can drag the formula down, which is still right. So you can still see where we are falling in. So this one, I will need to remove the last row, because I think my last value, if you look at the biggest value in this data set, is 335,000. 335,000 can actually fit in here. So here you can come up with your 7 classes. This other one gave me 8 classes. But believe me, if you went in both ways, you have achieved both objectives. One, you will have summarized the data, which is okay. Number 2, even if you do the averages and everything else, it will still be the same. You still get the same answers in terms of the averages and the rest. Good. Now let's go with the one that is proposed by Amos. So I want now to do the frequency.
Actually, I really can't do this dollar sign thing. I don't know what's happening. It's not working on my side.
Which one is this? Which one is this?
Dollar sign.
Which
What dollar sign? Like I'm trying to do
Ah,
the K to, yeah, it's
a
not
quick
working.
one. Do you have the dollar sign in your keyboard?
Yes, shift 4.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Shift 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How about you just manually enter it like that?
Okay, shift 4.
Yeah. You can still do it manually.
I've done the shift 4. The dollar sign is there. And then do I input 50,000 or do I do J or do I do 3? That is where
No,
I think.
what you do is, I hope you are editing from this side. So for example, I'm just trying to edit. When you're here, I don't know whether this is, sorry, is equals to, yeah. So when you edit from here, what do you get?
Oh, okay.
You see, yeah, you can just edit right here. You can put your dollar sign and everything, and then you hit enter. I'm sure it will accept. Good.
So Dr. It's dollar sign J or J dollar sign?
It is it's a dollar sign first.
Only?
No, what happens is, you see this number here. Which cell is it in your computer? This 50,000, which cell is it?
Cell D.
D what?
D4.
You can read your own. D4, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be dollar sign D dollar sign 4.
Noted.
Just like you can see here. This is dollar sign J dollar sign 3. It means that you are looking J3.
Yes,
Yes, please.
it has worked.
Yes. Can I have somebody else, Madiang?
Now, Dr. Chesang, I was saying, if you had gone to the line of F3,
okay.
Can you hit where you have 70,000?
Where I have 70,000.
F3, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying it was easier. This way they would have seen the formula up there. $4. That's what
dollar sign. Correct. For this one is dollar sign. Yeah.
That's how you got, that was explaining how you got these.
Correct.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Can I say, if you can't pick it, can you pick it from the recording? Because there's more things to be learned. There's more to be learned from beyond this one. Yes. Now let's see what next. What we now need to do is we want to now create the frequencies. We want to count this data set and work on this one. We have agreed let's work with the Amos suggestion of 50,000. So how will I put the numbers in here? If you are the person that will want to count manually, you can come here and count the ones that are less than 50,000, and you can find that they are about 8. You can go to the next group, you count, but that's a very difficult task. So you'll be counting and then recording 8. You come to the next group, you record, but that is not what we intend. So that's why you need some of these skills to get it right. So what you do is you use the functions in Excel, and it will count for you automatically. So what you do is you come back to the frequency column, highlight the entire section up to where you want to fill in the spaces. Are we there? Highlight all those numbers from 50,000 to, no, the space under the frequency for those 7 classes. We have highlighted that.
Yeah, I've seen 50,000 is left out. Is it because it's the beginning?
No, yeah. Usually when you highlight it, the first one is never highlighted usually, but it is highlighted the way it is. When you highlight in Excel, the first one will always look like it's not part of the highlighted area. but it is part of it. So we are highlighting from, for my case, cell L2 to L8. Please don't highlight the numbers here. Don't highlight this one. It is only the space, the empty space. From there, once you've highlighted, press equal sign. You want to put the formula. Go to equal without pressing anything until you see the equal sign there. So you want to put a formula which will fill all this space and it will count for you automatically. So once you have equal sign, type the command frequency FR, and then frequency will just appear automatically. The moment you start the first FR, the functions for frequency will be highlighted in blue. Once you do that, double click on it. I'm double clicking. So that
first of all, let me take you back, Kidogo. Where did you go to get your equal sign? Or did you put there just by yourself?
Yeah, just put it from the keyboard. Just
all
type
right.
equal sign. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
And make
Thanks.
sure it is writing equal sign, and then you can now start frequency.
All right.
Are we done?
Yes.
Good. Now from here, there are two things that Excel tells you to do. It tells you, can you put the data array followed by a comma, followed by bins array. So those are the two things you need for the function to work. Data array, comma, bins array. The data array is the entire data set, the original one. The bins array is the classes, which is this one. So let's start with the data array. You can even see it's highlighted in bold, meaning that is the one you begin with. So I'm going to come down to 12,000 and then I highlight all of them. Press down the mouse, left mouse, and highlight the entire data set up to the last value here. Don't put anything else, up to 335. I've highlighted the data set up to 335, and I want to go back where the formula is. You can see it is it's writing A1 colon A47. It means that it is the entire array of data. Once you are done with that, when you put your comma, the next bin array will be highlighted. So I put my comma as it is suggested by the formula. When I put the comma, you can see the bins array is highlighted, which means that the data array is sorted. Now it wants data for the next one. So this one will be now these 6, 7 classes. So just highlight them again together up to there. So I've highlighted the entire array of the classes. Those bins are the classes. Once you finish, close it. Please don't hit enter. Close. Don't hit enter yet because there's a technicality. If you hit enter, you'll not get what you want. Now I want us to be together up to there, because now for it to read through this entire array, you must now execute it differently. I know if you're in an array, you hit enter, you get something different. But from your keyboard, this one, I'm sorry, you're not going to see it, but I want you to press the 3 buttons at the same time. Start with Control Shift Enter. Once you hit there, Control Shift Enter in that order. And think your classes will be formed, or the frequencies will be formed.
Yes.
Yes.
All at the same time or in that order?
You can do it in that order, but make sure you're holding them so that all of them will be on at the same time. So I'm pressing down Control, I'm adding the shifts, all of them pressed down. I'm also hitting Enter as the last one, all of them down at the same time. And those figures will be populated automatically.
Mine are not coming.
Look, if it's not coming, it means there's something that you may have missed along the way?
When I look at the formula, it's just like yours.
Do you have the outside brackets?
Yes. That I
Mm-hmm.
manually put.
Did you put manually?
Yes.
Now.
Daktari?
Yes.
Maybe you can allow her to share her screen so that we can be able to see where she's gone wrong.
Daktari, where did you get K2 from? K2, then we went to K8.
Just a minute first.
K2 is means 50,000. And then K8 means 350,000.
Okay. I don't know which question I can go with first. The lady that was asking a question. Was that first of all?
Taslim.
Was it Taslim?
Yes.
Are you able to share really? I'm not very sure whether you're enabled.
No, I can't share because I'm using my laptop and my phone.
Okay. Well, let me, so that we can make progress. It is something that you could attempt once you get the recording. If you follow the steps quite correctly. Let me repeat this other one so that you can see the story, the flow for this other one that you created.
Okay.
Because so that also some of you can follow. But you notice that this one will have an extra class in here. But please note that because of the starting point in here, it is gonna change the frequencies. But just to illustrate, let's illustrate this other one as the last point. We have, I've chosen an arbitrary 20,000, and then I added 50,000 across board up to the last. So what you do is make sure that these classes are created and they're all there. The first thing is to highlight the entire space up to there. We have highlighted where we want the counting to happen. From the counting, we now bring on the frequency button. So click equal to from your keyboard, and then you type frequency, FR. Once you type the first two, the frequency function will be activated. Double click. So we have double clicked on that. So we have the data array, which is the entire the data set itself. Then the bins will be these other ones now. So please remember that you are not clicking anything. We are now selecting the data set from the beginning till the end up to there. So it will be counting from that array. Excel will be counting for you from that array. And then you'll be classifying it according to this. So I click, once you've selected the array, put a comma so that this highlighting is gone. Now the highlighting requires that you now input the next one, which is the bins, and these are the bins from 20 to the last one here. Click on that. I want to enclose it. So I've not done anything, I've just enclosed it. So the final step was to do what, somebody? One of us?
Control
Shift Enter.
Yeah, good. So if I Control Shift and Enter, it will populate those frequencies. Yeah, it will count automatic. Good. Yeah. So create those frequencies like this. I know when you're doing these things manually, it is very easy because you would have very small data sets. If you only have 30 observations, you can do it manually. Very quickly, you can count and then put those classifications. But I'm looking at a situation where some of us are researchers. You are working with the 300 observations. You are working with the 500 data points. You want a quick way of summarizing it. So at times you don't know how to go about it. So this soft skills through Excel can help you to just have a feel of the data. So what you do now, once you've created those frequencies in that order, you can then edit. You can take this one to Word and edit. Microsoft Word, you can now edit and say this is class from 0 to 2,000, 20,000, the rest. Let's go with this one, which is a little bit better because it has equal spacing. Yeah. So I can just copy this one and take it to Microsoft Word. Then from there you can edit the way you want.
Dr. Just a small clarification.
Yes, please.
How do you keep the selected area highlighted just before you insert the formula, the frequency?
Before we do the frequency?
Yeah, how do you keep the selected area highlighted?
What we do is if I got your question correctly, if I want to repeat this process right here, I highlight it there and leave it open. I don't know whether that's what you wanted to, what you meant, but if I want to put the frequencies in here, it means that this is a space where all the frequencies will be counted. And then I keep, when I type anything here, that's why this first cell is not highlighted, but it is actually highlighted. It means that whatever you will type there will be visible. So this, I'm not touching on anything else. I'm not clicking anything. I've just highlighted and left it there. So the first thing is when you put the formula for the equal sign, it will not change. It will not highlight this section. Make sure it is highlighted all through. So if yours is not highlighted, it means that you may have clicked by mistake so that it disappears.
Thank you.
Okay. So all the time, make sure that this area remains highlighted until you finish with the highlighting, with the function, sorry.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Mwalimu, why does the frequency appear automatically when you put equal sign? Does it mean it knows that it's supposed to be frequency?
No, usually in Excel, this equal sign here, all right? Or this one that you see right here, this f of x, when you click it like this, it is the formula, it is the icon, or rather the function for recalling or calling all the functions in Excel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can even see once you click on this one, it will tell you that which function are you interested in. It will automatically pick it's an equal sign, and then you can choose the one you want. So the moment you type an equal sign in Excel even, you can see it even freezes everything else because it knows that you want to call a function or a formula. Yeah, so finally I was to copy this and then take it to your document and edit it to your preference. You can now edit this the way you want. This is the class size. Yeah, class size or the classes. Then you can put your 0 to 50,000, you know. Yeah, so this is now where you can do your magic, you know, edit the way you want, 50,000 to like that, so that you have those classes. So that is what I thought you needed to have a feel of, because ideally, as researchers at your level, you rarely do small frequencies. You rarely deal with small numbers. You actually deal with a pool of data. And from the discussions in here, from the lecture slides, this is exactly what we are working with. This is what you are working with. Then you can now, you can see the way we did mine. It came because of the differences. I used intervals of 54,000, but I had chosen a default number of 20,000, but I could have as well done anything with it. So there's no right way of doing it. Perhaps the one that is preferable is what we did with equal signs, so equal spacing of 50,000 each. Yeah, so that you can manipulate in that way. So this is the frequency distribution. Yes, please.
Just a quick question. How do you determine the class interval? Is it just done randomly? Like you said, you used an interval of 54. How did you get 54?
For this one, this is the formula that gives you the guide. Whatever we were doing, remember in ours, we had 50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one we had 50,000.
Mm.
The one I used 54,000 was a random number, but it was within the 50. Yeah. But remember the one that you have here, maybe it's a good observation to take note. If you can, if you can use the one we demonstrated today, so that the sizes become equal, perhaps it could have looked a bit better.
Okay.
Excuse me, Monimo, maybe my question may be able to help her. Now, my question is, when you have a large data number, you look at the lowest number and then the highest number. Then you can determine the frequency that you want to work with, the class interval you want to work with, which will be easier for you to do the calculation. So you determine class interval from that highest, from the lowest to the highest, and look for a frequency that will be easier for you to calculate faster.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Othello. And that's why Excel is very good when organizing the data set. I know when you are doing these things manually in your statistics undergraduate or high school, wherever, you could find yourself rewriting these numbers on paper, arranging them from the first to the last. But why not leverage on technology, get some of those things done very fast, and then present it accordingly? Yes, Osanya.
Thank you, Daktari, for your patience with us. I was to ask, when you have the raw data, must you put it in Excel in one column, or you can have several columns? Can it work?
This is if you want to use different columns, make sure that the problem with different columns is that they will be mixed up. I prefer that you work either with a full row or a full column. There, you will be able to highlight all of them and then arrange. If it is in different columns, at times the arrangement might be a little bit difficult to conceptualize. I don't know whether Excel will be able to do that. It could be something you can try, but I really doubt, because when you're proposing arrangement, when they're in different columns, Excel will tell you which column do you want. So, for example, if you look at, let me just do some random numbers here. Copy. I'm just pasting some numbers there. Let me just go work with these two columns. Let me remove these ones. So if I'm supposed to arrange this, because they're in two columns, the problem is that Excel will not do that for you, because it will ask you which column do you want. So if I click on data and then sort, you see already Excel knows that arrangement is by columns. So you'll be asking it, I want column G, and then later you can do H, but then later you'll be forced again to merge together. So this is not the best way to do it. It's not the best way. So just you're safer with one complete column. Good. Now, 1 second or 2 seconds. Yes. Yeah, let's have a second or two. Just breathe. Just a second as I reach out to my gadgets.
S for statistics. We can take some coffee. to freshen up our brains.
Maureen, could you share some coffee?
Othello, sorry, you're too far. Let me enjoy it myself.
Yeah. Great. We are back. You will have some, you guys, you need to do some bit of work on some of these soft skills, because to a large extent, you'll be processing huge data sets, you'll be interpreting certain things, and so your expertise in the use of some of these will be very important for you. So you can then, I'm sure you can do your frequency, you can do your histogram, you can do anything with this summarized data. So what that means is that the data set that you had before was so in raw form, to the extent that you are not able to even make sense out of it. But because I've done a frequency distribution table, you can even notice that a majority of the counties, or rather, because these were about farmers, the data was about farmers or households which are farmers. So you can say on average, majority of the households, or the average households that practice farming, is between 100,000 and 150,000, because that is where you have the 12 counts on the same. It's only one household in the entire county which has it's only in one county where you have perhaps over 335,000, or rather 350 households practicing farming. So look at a way you can interpret that data while having summarized it, because with this kind of a system or arrangement, you can have some statements to argue about the distributions. Let me take you to the next level, because I thought we would have been here about an hour ago, but because of the questions and the back and forth, I'll post the material that is in the next section, which is this one, so that you can start making sense out of it. We now move from the very nice graphs, pictorials, and everything else into proper statistics and numbers. And we shall start with a very low level, which is the measures of central tendency and dispersion. So this is the entire 2 chapters. We will not go through each and every measure. We'll just highlight the main ones, which we see often we report in our research or in our findings, as part of our findings. So on average, we will look at the mean. We will look at what is called the weighted mean and when to apply it. Later, we look at the measures of variation or standard deviation. But at this stage, I would like you to focus a lot more on what they mean. You see, it's one thing to calculate an average. It is another thing to talk about it. It is one thing to compute variance and standard deviation very easily. But then what message does it tell you as a researcher? There's also something referred to as the coefficient of variation, which you can also make about mention. And then at the end of the lesson, we talk about the data distribution, because you're also preparing us to hypothesis. So it's good to understand what is a distribution. Good. Now, having said that, when we're describing data numerically, not graphically, then these are the 3 areas of focus: the measures of central tendency, or in a loose language, also the measures of location, or you're locating the data. Then we have the measures of spread, which are also the dispersion. We have various measures. And then there are those ones which describe the distribution. So when they say that your class, the performance in your class is skewed, this is what they are talking about. The distribution is not normal. In other words, so we talk about thickness and kurtosis or kurtosis. So when describing the data set, we have the two strands, actually the three of them. At the middle there is the location measures, and I'll just look at mean as one of them. The variance is one we shall focus on. We look at three of them here. We look at the variance, standard deviation, and coefficient of variation. The other two are very basic. We might not even want to look at them. And then within all these three measures, the combination of the location and variance helps us to understand the shape when you combine the two. So the first part is about central tendency and what they mean. I may not give you the narrative. I'll leave you to just explore these measures. There are those ones which are a must for you to note and actually apply, in particular the average or the mean. The others we can as well ignore. So just as I project it a bit better. So when we have, yes, please. Yes.
For example, you face a panel and the majority of the members are basically more of people who do, they are familiar with qualitative data. And maybe Dr. Chesang is not in this panel. So in your first meeting, you can just get away with it. Maybe you just overlook some things. Then the next time you are meeting, Dr. Chesang is among
them. Yeah. I see you. Othello, are we done?
Yes.
Oh, I get your point. I don't know what you are saying, but you have said something. Yeah, so these things that we know we talk about every time, the central tendency, the measures of location.
missed the joke. You see, he missed the joke. I said, I'm talking about the panel.
Let's just go on. Let's just go on, please. It's okay.
It's okay. Let's proceed. So we have these measures of central tendency that we are speaking about, so that in the end, many times we're interested in how the data is clustering or simply grouping or concentrated around certain values within the data set. So there are a number of measures that help us to locate a specific value that can give you an average position of the entire data set. If I ask you the data we looked at earlier about the number of farmers that practice, the number of households that practice farming, is it possible to have an average number of households practicing farming in the entire country based on the statistics that we just saw? The answer is yes. But then the question is, what does it tell you on average? It will now tell you that in this particular year, between, or rather when the time this data was collected, when the time the data set was collected about the number of households, you can pick the average number. That one you can easily do. But what does it make sense to somebody just reading the average? Perhaps what one can do is that you might need maybe additional information, or you want another data set so that you can compare between the two. So loosely speaking, when you consider the two, or rather a data set that I've just shown you, let me just take you back a little bit, just a minute to just, okay. I just want to take you back to that data set again. Yeah, so this is the data set that I've shown you. I can actually compute a simple average of the households that practice farming.
Your screen is not showing.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for that. I need to remove this. Yeah, good. Once it's showing you, let me know. Once you start, are you seeing it now?
Yes.
No, I was in the data set that I shared with you earlier. So this is about the average or the number of households that practice farming in the entire country. If I do an average number and say, what is the average number of households that practice farming? Then I can simply ask Excel to get me the average by simply recalling the Excel function is equals to average. Yeah, so once you say equals to average, then these ones will just appear there. So by double clicking on it, then I can now bring on board the entire data set. And then I can get an average number. Okay, so I can go back there and highlight the entire data sets up to there. Once I've highlighted the entire data set, I can close it. Once I've enclosed like this, it means that we are doing the average of all these numbers from the beginning to the end. Once you get there, you hit enter, you get an average number of 135,000. So that number can now tell you that on average, about 135,000 households in Kenya practice farming. On average, about 135,000 households practice farming. To a statistician, that is good enough. You can go and report as a finding in your study.
Sorry, Doc.
Yes,
and just correct me. Is it 135,000 on average in Kenya or 135,000 per county in Kenya?
This is now in Kenya.
This is in Kenya. Okay, thank you.
Because these are all the 47 counties. We have totaled all of them, and you divided by the So that could be an average number to work with on in Kenya. So if you go and report that in Kenya, this is the average households that practice farming, is it a good finding? Well,
No.
it could be, it could not be. It depends on what you. Yeah, can you explain, somebody? Can someone tell me why is this is who's speaking? Proceed. Oh, Taslin, thank you. Taslin, proceed.
I think it's my network. But I was saying that I feel like the number is so little considering maybe the population in Kenya, and maybe most farmers are also peasant farmers. So I feel like it's not a good number.
Okay. It may not reflect. Is that what you're saying? In other words?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Another person to give us their views.
Average, average is just something for as a representation of something, but there could be some that are higher than what we have here because this is just average. It means the average it takes care of the smallest, then the largest.
Okay, good. Thank you. Let's leave it there. So on one way, that means that you are in your own right to say it reflects or it does not reflect on the basis of the value generated. So in short, this number can only make sense if, for instance, I'm able to compare the same data for 2 periods. Last year, this year, 5 years ago. There, you can look and you can now say 5 years ago, the average was 125,000. This year is 135,000 and the rest. There you can have some bit of story to hide and report if you're considering that kind of thing. Alternatively, you can say that this, much as it's a good statistic to report, it does not tell me, or it's difficult to explain why this in one county we have 335,000, yet in another place you have 12,000. So it's unbelievable at sometimes. That is now why you need now alternative measures to back up the story that you have just established about the average. Good. Yeah. So there we go. So
sorry.
Yeah, please. Was.
Yes, I'm also attempting to understand that statistic, particularly the 135,000. And I'm seeing that there's a county where we had even 335,000.
Yes, yes.
So this average then means, or is just giving us a standard for per county, what we expect per county.
Yeah, or yes, either, because it's, you know, and the average takes care of everything. It takes care of it, because by average, we mean what we mean is you are totaling all of them. We've totaled everything, and you just took a simple average. So whether it is per county, it is the same thing, because if it's per county, it's 135, 135, 1,000. So at the end of it all, we look at an average of 135 again for the entire country, because we have 47 counties again at the same time, you know.
Well, Mulim, can I just give an example? If I'm right, I mean I'm wrong, then maybe you can correct me. For example, when you are calculating GDP, you are bringing people who are probably not even in employment. You just distribute the figure to all people, the population in the country. There are those people who are in that country, they have no any income at all. They rely on other people. So all of them are put together to make up the GDP. The money that the country generates is put on their heads. Thank you. That's correct.
Okay, good. It's correct. I will only add the fact that it's called GDP per capita, because you are now saying you're dividing per person. It's the same principle. It tells you on average everyone can consume up to this much, but we know that there are those ones at the extremes on both ends. Right. So let's make progress. Let's make progress. So when you do this central location, we are just saying that we just want to get the best value that is a representation of the entire data set. So the problem is that it forces the entire data set to be explained by a single representative value. Whether that is representing the entire data set is another problem. So in short, these averages just offers a way of just condensing things and putting them together. But in a nutshell, you would want to make use of this data set by simply providing comparison. You want to compare between counties. You want to compare between regions. You want to compare between countries. So this means an averages can make sense if you are having comparisons to be you want to make you want to just compare between different groupings. So it might be important to also know that much as this is the case, sometimes it might just suggest to the researcher that the frequencies and all these things you've seen just gives you an indication. It helps you to just have a kind of a pointer to describe the kind of data you're dealing with. Yeah, so it can also tell you about the, you know, I've talked about the frequency. You can know which group is higher or the other one is lower and the rest. It may also be a good pointer to indicate to you that there could be mistakes or even outliers or missing values in the entire data set. So at times, before you even analyze your data, whatever you do, whatever it is, if it's correlation, if it's hypothesis testing, before you do anything, these measures are good to just explore, because you never know, you may find that there's a mistake in the entry that you made, so that there's one extreme value which was inserted by mistake. So averages sometimes can just give you an idea of whether you have the correct data set. It can tell you about the distribution. You can even have an opinion, you know, like right now I asked you, do you think it's 135,000 on average? Most of you are saying, well, it seems not. So I think we all understand what we just did in Excel. We just simply totaled everything and you divide it by the number of cases. And that should give you the simple average. The simple average. This is the one that you don't have any categories. But when you have categories like the one we just did together, the one we are just developing for the last 1 hour, that frequency, the frequency distribution table, then the way we mechanically compute it now will involve the summation of the frequencies times the observations divided by the total number of cases. I believe for those doing the mechanics, the average is simply the sum of the total cases divided by the number of cases available. In our case, it was the total number of farm households practicing farming divided by the counties that were there. So you can have an average per county, which can also give you the national average. We will see this in hypothesis testing, so that's why I introduced this early enough. When it comes to the sample mean and the population mean, we will use these notations to just separate the two. Sample mean and population mean are slightly different concepts, because for the population, the idea is that the population characteristics are never known. So you don't know the true value of the average number of households practicing farming in Kenya. Nobody will tell you precisely that it is 135 or 150,000 or 180,000. We normally say that the population characteristics are never known, but we can approximate them from the sample statistics. So the sample statistics are, for example, the numbers that we've collected from the survey that the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics did across all the counties, and they gave us numbers. We don't know how they did it. We don't know how they sampled, but they've given us statistics to represent those numbers. And so the 135,000 we got on average, we want to assume that because it is representative of the population, we expect that the sample value X bar will equal to the population, the true population value mu. So for those, this is called mu in the Greek alphabet. In statistics, anything about sample are called sample statistics. So you'll be talking about the sample mean, the sample variance, the sample standard deviation, because it's anything that you compute by drawing a sample. So we call them sample statistics. But the counterparts in the population are referred to as population parameters. In statistical language, population parameters are the ones that we try to infer from the sample. So when I compute the mean and got 135, then the inference is that this 135 is a true reflection of the population in Kenya, how it is. And so that is how we do it. Please note that the mean at times can be misleading, especially in certain circumstances. Sometimes you can have an extreme value or an outlier. Okay. Although you are computing from every score, if you have one value dropping from the entire list, it will change the mean automatically. So that is why when you enter numbers, you must verify. You must always code, clean the data so that you ensure that you are making sure that you are reporting the right values. So as someone was asking or saying, I think the 135 is not fair. So I'll ask why? Because there's some picture that they already have. They believe that it's a lower value. And that is why it's important to verify every number that you get from the field before you start reporting, so that you have reason to justify. I want to look at a certain, we need to do something at least before I let you go. We have to compute some numbers. And the one we're going to compute is something that you know, it's called the weighted mean. This one, the one that I just showed you here, is called the arithmetic mean. It's simply the simple average. You count, divide by the number of cases. But the one that we want to look at is this one called the weighted mean. And one of the application is for us to compute different things, including our grade point average. I mean, what Daystar uses currently for your grading system, and many other universities, is the GPA system. The GPA system takes into account weights. So like the one that we did in grouped data, you find that certain groups will have different weights. Those frequencies we are reporting are the weights. It says you this class between 100 and 150,000, they take a bigger weight in terms of the overall. So what we do is, when you're doing weighted average, it is a fair reflection of the true average, because we are assigning every observation a measure depending on its weight in the entire data set. I have given you two examples in here. One, calculation of your GPA. Number two, if you want to maybe assess relative importance of investment opportunities, you can simply use the weighted mean to just have an idea of which one to go with. Yes. So this is the grade point average, the GPA. Someone is asking. I know this is your second semester. If you did your first semester, I'm sure you've you know where you are in terms of your performance. So in many universities, the GPA is an weighted score based on the different units you take. Not all courses have the same weightage. The same can also apply when you're doing, if you're a teacher or a teacher in an institution or a class. Sometimes you do the weights depending on the examinations you give your students. That's why you say your first assignment weight is 10%. The next one, the group work weight is 15%. The online quiz is 20%. The group project is another 20%. Final exam is 40%. That is weighting. So you can actually compute your average score on the basis of the weights of all those tasks. And that is what we often do as well when we compute those. Now, before I go, let's look at this. This is the one we are going to solve, and then I'll let you go. I would like to request one of us to read the question, because I'm on
Alan.
full screen. I may not. Yes, Alan. Thank you. I'll proceed with the question of Alan.
Alan, a BCom in accounting student at Daystar University, registered and completed the following courses this semester. His results are as shown below. Compute his term GPA based on given grading system.
Oh, based on the given, sorry, the word there is missing there. So for those of us who don't know, this is our grading scale, and we would like to compute the average, the performance of this student. These are the courses that this student did, 7 of them. The weights are the hours, because for some courses, the student spends 3 hours per week. In some other cases, 2 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. And these are the computations, these are the marks that he scored in these courses. And then the equivalent grade are these ones. These are the Daystar scaling. And then you can now see where the points, the corresponding points that this gentleman got along the way. So we'll just compute the average for this gentleman. Good. So we'll do this one, and then I will ask you to proceed with another question that have been assigned to you. Sorry. Yeah, good. Yeah. So let's just do this very quickly. Very quickly. Yeah, so these are the courses this gentleman did. There are 7 of them. Allow me to call this one, let me just not write the names, but let me just list those courses accordingly. So there are 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, so these are the listed courses. Allow me to, let's have the hours. Let's have the hours there. So the hours are, let me just pick them directly here. The first 3 are 3 hours, followed by 2 hours. 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, and finally 2 and 1. So those are the weights for the units. Let's get the, this is your, this is the grade. Let's just look at the grades very fast. I want some of you to pick the grades. The ones are the B minus. Let me read the scores in here. B minus, A minus.
And then B.
B. For those who have it somewhere. C plus, C. And then B pluses. Now let's give the points there. So the points will be based on the scale that is being used. So let's have the scales written as well. So these are the points, you know. Yeah, 2.7 is that one, 2.3. Yeah, so Othello, you can guide me the B minus.
B minus 2.7.
Yes.
Yes, A minus 3.7. B is 3.0.
C plus is
2.3.
Is it 2.7?
2.3.
2.3. Yeah. And this is a 2.
2.0.
And then the 3P plus?
That is
3.3.
3.3.
3.3. Yeah, good. Good, there we go. So these points are, the hours are simply the weights. So you now say hours multiplied by the points. So this is how you do weights. So please do that for me. 3 multiplied by that one, 3 multiplied by 3.3, accordingly like that. Can I have some of us giving me the answers there? We're multiplying their hours times the points. 2.7 times 3?
8.1.
Next one?
11.1.
Thank you.
9.
9.
9.
4.6.
4.6.
4.6, not 6 for right. Sorry.
6. 6.6.
0. 6.6 and
3.3.
Yeah, good. Let's get finally the total hours here and the totals in here. This was 17, I think I remember from the question. You can count that one and then you can sum the others as well.
$48.7.
So weighted mean. So this weighted mean is equal to the summation of the weights multiplied by the individual observation, everything divided by n. So
6.9.
That is it 6.9?
6.9.
It is
6.962 decimal places.
48.7 divided by it's not
7.
it has to be less than that.
Can't be 6.9.
Oh, sorry. I divided by
GPA.
7.
Yeah, you divided by 7.
2.86.
2.865.
2.86.
To 2 decimal point, 2.86 GPA. So this is Alan's, call this one
GPA.
GPA. So grade point average. I know this is what some of you would be getting at the end of the term. Good. So this is what is called.
That will be good. Eh?
No. So I withdraw that statement.
We already have Dr.
And apologize.
I actually meant.
It's very low.
This is extremely low. I actually meant this is what you guys should be computing. At the end of every sem. Yeah, that is the point. You should know how to compute so that somebody cannot tell you that you did not do it well or whatever. So what I want you to do is that you have I've posted some material there. Much as I've posted them exercises, I will be able to guide you on what to do. So look at question 2. Work on question 2. Work on question 2. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna mark it, but just want you to have a look at it. So question 2 in the exercises. This one is on e-learning. So this is the question that you need to take it up. We have done the first part with you. We got this. We've done that one. This is what you got. So what I want you to do is redo the same thing. In the second semester, this gentleman does new courses altogether. I want you to recompute the second semester, and this is your task for the week. I hope it is clear.
No.
It has to be clear. See, we just did the first part.
Yeah.
We just did this one. So what I'm asking, can you repeat the same thing? Because this gentleman proceeded to another semester. He took new courses, and these are the new ones.
It's clear.
And the weights are there. So rework the same thing.
Okay.
And then you'll need to answer 2 things. Do the average and then do what is called a cumulative.
Okay.
Mwalimu, that is now we are now okay. Sawa, thank you.
Yeah, I think you can work through the rest. So I think let's end here for today. So that I can allow you. Yes, please.
Where did you get the points? For example, B- is 2.7.
No, this one is given. For example, this is as per our Espadista's catalog. So different institutions have different grading scales. So this is the grading scale we use. Yeah. And I think it's standard for most universities which adopt the grade point average system.
By the way, I
So
can
for
tell
the
you
question that we are doing, the points
Yeah.
are given.
Yes, yeah, they have to
I
be
can
given.
tell you that most of the universities have copied from Daystar.
Actually,
I see.
Doctor, I had a problem understanding GPA, but I think I went to a university which doesn't use GPA.
Now you are getting it here.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, so there will be many other. I will post the lecture notes for you to also read ahead, because there's everything here. This is the one that I just did for you here. We've just done it together. At your own time, look at another question here on investment and everything else. So see how you could use statistics to also make decisions. So when we meet next time, we will tie up this discussion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Excuse
good. I
me,
want we
Dr.
end here. Yes, please. Yeah, any other question? Yes.
Okay, when you check on the DU line, on DU online, there is a weekly class activity that is running already. Because
no, what you do, that one is optional. It's just optional. Yeah, it is for the week.
Okay.
I will ask you just you do as a practice question. And actually, I think I'll pull it down. I put it as a normal work, so it doesn't send a different signal. Allow me to do that, so that it just becomes part of the discussions.
Because
so that those who are not here
doesn't have the question.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a question. It simply requires us to submit some work.
There's some attachment. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have
There's an attachment at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay.
There's yeah. So what I'll do, let me pull it down. Hopefully I will be able to do that, so that I can just add it to as part of a class notes.
Okay.
I will give you the one that is supposed to be done formally. Yes.
Yeah, I also noted that the notes are not the same ones that you've been presenting, but again, you've said that you'll upload the notes. Yes.
No, this one I've not uploaded for today.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. The one you have is the one for last week. I usually post after the class. After the class, you can get them. Okay. So let me release you, gentlemen and ladies. I'll meet you next week.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Please allow me to ask, is maybe Dr. Ayu still in this class?
No, I don't. She's not here.
Okay.
Sure. You can reach out to her in another way.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.